Earlier today, the Assad family regime fell from power in Syria after more than 50 years. While any transition to a new political order is still in its early days, the most intense phase of a civil war that began in 2011 appears to be over. The conflict in Syria, which has spanned more than a decade, not only has devastated that country, but has also reshaped the geopolitical landscape of the entire Middle East. To different extents, at different points, and in markedly different ways, Russia and China have both sought to leverage the Syrian politics to their advantage. Thus, ongoing instability in Syria, particularly as the country faces an uncertain transition post Assad, has distinct implications for these two global powers. After the Syrian civil war erupted in 2011, Russia made a high stakes decision to back Bashar al Assad's government. This move was in line with Moscow's broader ambition to retain influence in the Middle East, counterbalance US and NATO influence, and secure a naval presence in the Mediterranean. Russian military intervention, beginning in 2015, played a decisive role in shifting the balance of power in favor of Assad, but this success came at a cost. And the recent diminution of Russian support appears also to have been a factor in the rebels' victory earlier today. The ongoing instability in Syria, coupled with the inevitable political transition following the sudden collapse of Assad's regime, has made Russia's position in the Middle East more precarious. Russia's credibility across the region has been significantly undermined by its failure to stabilize Syria in the way that it had hoped. Its inability to usher in a lasting peace or even to prop up Assad has led to perceptions of Russian ineffectiveness, even as Assad himself has fled to Moscow and been granted asylum there. Beyond Syria itself, Russia's reputation has suffered in the broader Middle East. Perhaps most sharply, Russia's relationship with Turkey, a key NATO member but also a significant regional power, and in some ways with a government that can be at least less hostile to Russia than many others, are also likely to be increasingly strained, especially as the rebels who've now seized victory have enjoyed long-term Turkish backing. China's involvement in Syria, by contrast, has been more indirect. China is focused on economic ties, infrastructure investments, and maintaining stability in its relationship with key players across the region. Syria's upheaval frustrates these objectives, at least in the short term, and complicates China's policy choices looking ahead in the Middle East. China's greatest concern in the Middle East is its relationship with Iran, which it sees as an essential partner and as a critical link for accessing energy resources. The Syrian government under Assad had been a friend to Iran throughout the conflict. As Syria enters a period of political uncertainty, China may face a dilemma. The end of Assad's regime almost certainly badly disrupts any strategic alignment between Damascus and Tehran. This is an unwelcome development for China, as it weakens Iran, possibly reduces China's influence, and potentially undermines broader Chinese economic and political objectives in the region. At the same time, China's relations with other key Middle Eastern countries could also be adversely affected by the Syrian transition. China has been careful in cultivating good ties with Egypt, Saudi Arabia, other Gulf states, and Israel, among others, all of which have been wary of Iranian power and influence. If a post Assad Syria ends up cleaving more closely to either the West or to Saudi Arabia, for example, or even if it takes a more neutral position in regional politics, it could complicate China's efforts to balance its relationship with both Iran and other key states across the region. Greater instability in the Middle East threatens China's broader objectives in a region where its good relationships with multiple players had only recently enabled it to claim a series of easy wins, such as the trilateral détente with Saudi Arabia and Iran that China helped to broker. What's more, as the world's largest hydrocarbon importer, China depends on Middle Eastern oil and gas to a degree many in the West can sometimes forget or underestimate. Higher prices and less stable supply lines will put further pressure on China's already shaky economy, even as China remains powerless really to stabilize the situation on the ground. The evolving situation in Syria thus underscores and highlights the ways in which transitions of power, even in a single relatively small country, can reverberate across the international stage. For both Russia and China, navigating the new reality will require recalibrating their strategies and tactics across a region that is crucial to their long term interests, and where what these two global powers do also has implications both for the United States and for Europe. Thank you.